Hi everybody, and welcome in to another brand new season of Let's Fish TV. My name is Barry Stokes, and along with my partner Andrew Upshaw, we'll be bringing you 39 brand new episodes of the show coming up in 2022. So glad you're along for the ride, and it all gets started right now. That is a fish. Oh man, look at this.
It's time for the only program that brings you real-time fishing reports from the Southwest region every week.
Oh my gosh. Oh, look at that. Woo!
This is Let's Fish.
And to get it all started, I'd like to welcome you into northern Oklahoma. We are coming to you today from Sooner Lake, right there. This is a 5,400-acre lake located just outside Ponca City, between Ponca City and Stillwater, Oklahoma. It's a power plant lake, but it's not generating right now, which means the water is very cold and it's got a very healthy population of white bass in it. What we plan to do today is show you what the white bass have been doing, what they're doing now, and what they're about to do where you can catch a bunch of them headed into these upcoming springtime months. And while we're doing that, we're taking you around the region for this week's fishing reports from our expert team of insider reporters from lakes, rivers, and bays, right where you live, both freshwater and saltwater. So we get the boat launched into Sooner Lake. Next time you see me, I'll be out there. Right now, let's get things started back at the studio in your weekend plan.
Welcome back, everybody. We are so excited to jump into this new season with you. The Salinar tables are predicting fair game fish activity on Saturday and Sunday. Peak times begin at 1:33 Saturday and 2:07 Sunday afternoon. The best time to fish in the dark will begin at 1:24 on Saturday and 1:58 Sunday night. Depending on your local area, expect the sun to rise around 6:50 and set at 6:27. Evenings will feature a moon that's just 9% visible. Stay with us. We've got fishing reports from across the area on the way. Plus, Bassmaster Elite Angler Chris Zaldane stops by to answer your Ask the Pro question.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Sooner Lake in Oklahoma. And I have actually found a good school that look like white bass out here in deep water. I'll explain kind of what I'm doing in just a second, but I've gotten my bait just about down to them. There they are right there. I'm watching them on my screen. Here he comes, here he comes. You got it. I got one of them. All right, let's see, hopefully that's a white, feels like it. Yep. Oh, he's kind of getting the bends from coming up so deep. There we go, it's a start. And there you are. Well, let me get you set up first of all. Go back down there deep, buddy. That fish was real deep, I'll explain more. Let me get you set up on Sooner Lake. This lake is owned by Oklahoma Gas and Electric. It is a coal-fired power plant lake, which these things are going obsolete right and left in this era that we live in. They're being discontinued all over the country, but I think this one's still working. It's not generating right now, but I think they do run it some. But the water here is still really cold. We are headed into that early spring time of the year right now where the white bass are still out there deep, but they're starting to think about moving up the creeks and rivers. Talk more about that, but this lake we're on is a good test tube. It's got real deep water. 80 feet of water is what I'm sitting in right now, and that fish was suspended down about 40 or 50 feet. The water here is real clear, so they can see the bait a long way. The water's real cold right now. Again, this is Oklahoma, so they get all the spring cold fronts through here and it keeps the water cooled off. This will be one of the last places the white bass will spawn. The lake's not big. I'm not sure how many surface acres it is, but I would guess it's not more than, maybe 1,500 to 2,000, something like that. There's a lot of these kind of lakes scattered around Oklahoma, and they've all got white bass in them. So we just came here to kind of use this as an example. So deep, clear water, white bass in schools, and they'll get positioned in front of the creek channels and get ready to start moving up here before too long. Stay with us, I'll explain more, but we're off to a good start on a beautiful day in Oklahoma.
Hi folks, and welcome to a brand new season of Lone Star Lakes, and what a season it's shaping up to be. This week's segment's brought to you by Pride Fowler Industries and the Rapid Reticle Scope, getting you out there farther, faster, with more accuracy for less money than the competition. Now, I mentioned it's been a great season already. We've had 8 Sherrilunkers, that's bass over 13 pounds in the legacy class, entered into the Texas Parks and Wildlife program so far this year. And since 6 of those 8 came from OHIV, that's where we're going to start this year. Now, the fish at OHIV are going to be moving up to do their spawning run over the next few weeks as the water temperature warms up. In the meantime, they're going to stage. They're going to move from the 20-25 foot range in stages, shallow, looking for breaks and cover. So you find that structure, you find that cover on the 10 foot, 12 foot, 8 foot marks, and run your big A rigs and swim baits around those places. You should find some of those OHIV bass, and maybe the bass of a lifetime. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes. Check us out on Facebook, Lone Star Lakes.
There's one. Straight down. Oh, he's fighting in that deep water. What do we got? I want to bring them up a little bit slow so they don't get the bends. Yep, he's not big. And he's probably got the bends. But if you get him back quick, yep, down he goes. All right, well, we got a bunch of fish out here, but this is really hard work, I'll tell you. What I'm doing is driving around with my Lowrance active target and seeing these fish. I'm just scanning around until I actually see them. And then I pull up, try to get right on top of them, drop it straight down and gently lift. And I'm experimenting around with 2 or 3 different kinds of baits, so we'll see which one actually works out best. But we've actually got a few fish working. This is probably the deepest I've ever caught any freshwater fish. I've caught saltwater fish out in hundreds of feet, but these fish are, some of them pretty close to the bottom in 80 feet of water. Unbelievable how deep they'll get. But before long, we're going to hit that spring spawning run, and they're going to run up every creek and river that they can find to get ready to spawn. We'll talk more about that in a little bit.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Mercury. Go boldly. Lowrance, America's #1 fish finder. Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, Alabama. Plan or book your fishing charter at orangebeach.com. Motor Guides Tour Pro with GPS anchor, powered by Passion.
2 of them, look at here. Man, we are catching them 2 at a time now, folks. Look at him down there. He's chasing it up. He got it. He got it. Oh, that is fun. That is video game fishing right there. 2 of them. Look at here. Man, we are catching them 2 at a time now, folks. Oh my, welcome back to Sooner Lake in Oklahoma. Watching them swim up on my Lowrance active target and watching them eat it. And catching 2 at a time. That is so cool. So that double jig rig is a little trick out here. It does 2 things for you. It'll let you catch more than 1 fish at a time, and it'll get your bait down a lot quicker. So those would both be keepers. And if I read this right, there's no limit on white bass in the state of Oklahoma. You can keep all of them you can catch. Don't quote me on that. Go look it up. But I think I saw that somewhere. And they'll fillet up and eat really good. They make real good table fare. But there's that double jig rig. And what's cool is I've got 2 different baits on it. And that way it gives it a little different look when it gets down in that school. But you could actually see on the screenshot I captured right there that the 2 baits fell into the school of fish, and then they started fighting over it. And you could see the actual school migrate over and those fish chasing it down. That was really neat. It takes forever to get this bait down there when it's that deep. But these fish are going to do this, again, until that water hits about 52 degrees or 54, somewhere in that range. You can do this in a lake near you. Just copy what I'm doing. Go out in the deepest water in the lake. And by the way, it doesn't have to be 80 feet deep. If the deepest water in your lake is 30, 35 feet and it's got a good population of white bass, you can do this exact same thing. In fact, it's a lot easier to catch them in 30 feet than it is out here in 70 and 80 like I'm doing today.
Hey, welcome to 2022 and the new fishing season. I missed you guys. I hope you've had a great off season. Now it's time to get back at it, so let's fish. Our crappie fishing here in the state is off to a fast start at several places. Two in particular I would like for you to check out as soon as you can. One is Lake Ulaga, just north of Owasso. The lake has been doing really well there. A lot of guys are catching crappie several different ways and catch them a couple of feet deep or all the way down to about 30 feet. Now I jumped in the back of the boat with George Tolson. He was fishing a school of fish, catching them about 18 to 22 foot deep. His key was getting that bait down to the fish and then just barely slow reeling, creeping that bait right along and catching some really nice crappie doing that. The guys that are chasing and catching the big schools of fish are basically doing the same thing, but the key to it again is getting that bait down there right on top of them. Don't go below them, keep it just above them. You can catch them doing that. Another good spot is the Lake Eufaula State Park Marina. Both inside the heated dock, which obviously on a day like this is ideal, but you can also catch them on outside of the dock. Steve Higgins had a good outing there recently and catching his fish about 16 foot deep. He said again, first thing in the morning, there was a time where they just kind of shut down, time they fired back up. That's what happens this time of year when you're crappie fishing in Oklahoma, where you can catch them, but you can't catch them if you don't go.
Hi everyone, Captain Greg Verm here, back bringing you another season of Texas Coastal Fishing Reports for Let's Fish TV. Hey, we're looking forward to a great 2022 season. Hey, fishing here on the Texas Gulf Coast has been great. Galveston West Bay and catching good numbers of solid specks and redfish using soft plastics in 4 to 6 foot of water. Places to check out: Jones Lake, Confederate Reef, Greens Cut, and Greens Lake. Hey, water temperatures, they've been in the 50s and trying to come up. Now, as we move into the month of March, hey, we're gearing up for our spring breakers and the Galveston jetties. There's a tough place to be for our annual bay snapper, aka sheephead run. Hey, these fish are already showing up along the jetties and passes for their annual spawn. These are great fish for families and kids to target, and if you want to enjoy your fresh caught catch, hey, they're excellent table fare. We're using live shrimp, free line along the Galveston jetties, both north and south jetties. Hey, remember, if you want to fish in Galveston or Freeport with me or my team, hey, give me a call, check out our websites. We'd love to bring families and kids out, and we have lodging over at Bay's Landing. I'm Captain Greg Verm, and I'll see you next week.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Academy Sports and Outdoors, making it easier than ever to gear up and have fun out there. Visit Mississippi, Wanderers Welcome, Power Pole, Total Boat Control, Balls Out, made in the USA, heavy duty mounts for your fish finders.
Oh, he's got several with him. No, I got 2 of them. Look at this. How about that? Yeah. Big old school of them right there, coming up through them. Reel it, reel it, reel it. He got it, he got it. It's automatic. What if I, come here. Fight him up. Oh, he's got several with him. No, I got 2 of them. Look at this. How about that? Yeah, that's one advantage of a double jig rig, is you can catch yourself double whites. That one got hooked under the chin. Well, welcome back everybody. People hunting over there. I don't know if you can hear all that shotgun banging around or not, but those are not big, but it's 2 white bass nonetheless. Back they go, swim down there, and away they go. Yeah, they made it down. Let's talk a little bit about the life cycle of a white bass for a minute. They start off out here in this real deep water, and they'll stay here while those eggs ripen in the females. Then they begin to migrate to the mouths of the rivers and the creeks. So long, depending on where you are, when the water temperature hits somewhere around 52 degrees or so, those fish will position themselves right in the mouth of the creeks, and they wait for current, and they wait for their eggs to ripen, and they wait for that water to warm up a little bit more. Once that water hits about 57, they'll run straight up the creeks and rivers, get in very shallow water, and they'll spawn. And the way they spawn is they lay those eggs. The female lays the eggs in any current they can find, and then the male comes in behind them and sprays milt and fertilizes them, and then they just tumble downstream and they'll hatch that way. So that's kind of the life cycle and the process of these white bass. But the rest of the year, they live out in fairly deep water. All summer long, in the fall, the only time they're going to run up those creeks and rivers is in the springtime when they're spawning, and they'll get in water that deep to spawn, and they're looking for current. You find current, 57-degree water, you're going to find white bass in the springtime. Let's see if I can catch another one.
Hey friends, Captain Kevin Broussard here with Let's Fish. I tell you what, I'm going to be bringing you the freshwater and saltwater reports from the state of Louisiana. We're going to have a great year this year, long year, so I tell you what, each and every week I hope to travel around the state, both on the coast and some of the lakes and bayous and rivers, and bring you some good reports. But right now, we're going to start off on Toledo Bend. Tell you what, we're early spring, we're still having some good cold fronts come through. I'll tell you what, lots of white perch or crappie are moving shallow. Rockport rattler jig heads with light little black and chartreuse tubes on. I'll tell you what seems to be the key there. Also, you can always fall back on a live shiner if you need to. Bass, they're kind of transitioning. When it's warm, they'll move up shallow. When it cools off, they're going to fall back a little deeper. On the saltwater side, right here on Lake Calcasieu, Cajun Paradise Charters, we're having a great late winter, early spring. Lots of trout, lots of redfish. I'll tell you what, the flounder are already starting to migrate back in. If anybody wants to make a trip, you can look us up, Cajun Paradise Charters. For Old Cajun Phil, I'm Captain Kevin Broussard saying, let's fish. We're going to see you next week.
Got one. He does not feel like a very big fish, though. So deep. He's all right. These are fat little dudes. All right. Look how white he is. Man, these fish are white. Out here in real deep water. I mentioned how deep these fish are, and because of that, I've had to go to something pretty extreme. Out here on Sooner Lake, by the way, up in the very northern part of Oklahoma, just short of the Oklahoma-Kansas border. So I've got a double rig here, double plastic jig rig. I'm using fluorocarbon line, and I've got I think that's a 1/2 ounce jig head, which is pretty darn heavy. And I'll show you these Strike King baits in a minute. And then about 18 inches down, I've got a little smaller 3/16 ounce with a different bait on it, 2 different Strike King plastic baits. But I'm mainly doing that for the weight. I'm just trying to get it down quick. These little schools of white bass are moving around out here, and by the time I get over the top of them, they've moved off somewhere because it takes so long to get your bait down in 60, 70 feet of water. The shallowest fish I've seen today has been 50 feet. So thankfully we've got a dead calm day out here, and that helps position me where I can kind of control the boat and put it right over the fish. But I'm watching my bait go down, put it right at the level the fish are at, and gently lift that rod tip and drop it back. I'm not hopping it, not jigging it. When they're coming out of wintertime, getting ready to spawn, they're very lethargic, very dormant, and they're not going to chase a bait down. So you want to be real gentle with your presentation, and you'll catch one.
Watch our latest episode or catch up on past episodes on our website at letsfishtv.com. Be sure to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter for new fishing videos every day. And download the free Waypoint TV app to get all the latest episodes every week on your phone, tablet, computer, or smart TV. Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Lou's, Feel the Difference, Mamba Boats, Ride with Pride, Strike King, Tie One On, Glacier Glove. Stay outdoors longer with our gloves, hats, and shades. Fishing Specialties, makers of the premier mount assembly for live sonar.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's get right on to your Ask the Pro question for this week. Charlie wants to know, when is your favorite season to fish and why? For an answer, we asked Bass Master Elite Angler Chris Zaldane.
My favorite season to fish, I would say hands down, is early spring. I love that late February, the first week of March time. And I don't like fishing around that full moon in March and April. That's when they really start to get on beds and start reproducing and making beds, and they stop feeding. I love that period right before the spawn. Generally, it's a week or two right before the full moon in March or late February, where they bite big baits, big glide baits, big swim baits, and they just feed. They feed up for the spawn. That's my absolute favorite time to catch big ones.
Thanks so much, Chris. If you want some help too from one of the pros, simply go to letsfishtv.com and follow that Ask the Pro link to submit a question.
Here's today's Right Stuff, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Next up on the Academy Right Stuff, it's the right gear to go out and catch some of these white bass before they move up the creeks and rivers on their spawning run. It begins with the perfect rod. This is the Lew's TP1X Speed Stick series. It's white in color with the gray wind grips, split grips down at the lower end. It's perfect for this for a couple of reasons. One, it's got enough flex and enough give to be able to fight these fish, especially when you hook two at a time. But in case you were to hook a striper or a hybrid striper, it's got enough backbone to fight that fish as well. I had it spooled up with Strike King Tour Grade fluorocarbon line in 15-pound test, and I had the double jig rig. As you can see, the top jig is a Strike King Scissor Shad, and you can see about 18 inches down the line, this is the Strike King Slab Slanger, which is the one you're looking at right there. Got a little pointed tail, very subtle bait in the water. One other piece of gear that I just love, I want to show you, is from Academy. It's the Magellan Pro Angler fishing shoes. They are the perfect all-around shoes for fishing. They're very good on the bottom for a good grip in your boat, climbing in and out of the boat. They're breathable, they're water resistant, they're everything you would want in a fishing shoe, available at Academy Sports and Outdoors or online at their website. How many times on television or in social media do you see these words, thoughts and prayers? When something tragic or challenging happens to someone, quickly people bomb them with thoughts and prayers. While that is a great sentiment and it shows some level of caring, what if this? If you actually believe there is a God who actually cares and is powerful enough to do something about it, why not actually go the extra step and pray for that person? It might make a huge difference in their situation. Thanks for joining us today from Sooner Lake, Oklahoma. I want to emphasize that while we did catch these fish here, these principles and techniques will work to find and catch you a bunch of white bass at any reservoir or river system that has these type of conditions in the early part of the springtime before those fish move up the creeks and rivers to spawn. I hope you're able to go and catch a bunch for yourself. From northern Oklahoma, until next week, I'm Barry Stokes saying, let's fish, everybody. Be safe. Have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.